Hello and welcome back to Loud and Proud Orlando here on a Wednesday night this time to talk all about Orlando Pride as we get ready for a game just 2 days from now on a Friday night. So a little bit different things here this week. Drop your comments. We want to hear from you. Rachel already dropping in with LFG. LFG indeed. LFG. Luis, what's up, my friend? How are you feeling?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being live with us here at the Pride Pod. About 10 people live right now. Thank you for your support. I'm a little bit under the weather, so that's why my camera's a little off. So clearly tomorrow I won't be able to make it to the game because I don't want to get my reporting brethren any sick. So but I'll do the responsible thing to still come on the pod and discuss some about pride and our chances. I was watching Dumb and Dumber, and that's how I got the title of the episode today. So you mean there's still a chance? There's still a chance. So I just kind of took it out of that, and yeah, there's still a chance. We gotta all start wearing Royadas jerseys. So we'll discuss that later on. And unfortunately, a little bit of a heartbreak, but then they still advanced. Brazil. We'll talk about some. We're gonna talk about some. Olympics and Team USA rocking and rolling. A phenomenal golazo by one of the you know new players that I've seen there at the team. First time I see a goal of that caliber, and then also we're going to preview Racing Louisville, guys. So stick around. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. A very packed show. So, everybody, drop your comments. We want to hear from you. Let us know what your thoughts are. As we get into it, we're going to start off by reviewing what happened against Rayados. This game seems like a long time ago now, Luis. Was last week. It was Saturday night at 7 o'clock uh,
Yeah.
in the stadium. They did something really interesting with tickets. They did basically like there's West Club for premium, and then everything else is just GA. So it was very casual. I felt like very chill vibes. There was like a whole group of people. We were over in the like 12, 11, over on the west side, like near where the tunnel is. There was a lot of people there just watching the game. I was sitting there with Dennis Chin and his adorable little children, enjoying this interesting match, our first ever match against Monterrey, an international opponent, Luis. And we drew 2-2. We got to see a lot of new players and a lot of names that I didn't know we were ever going to see. So talk to me about the lineup for this one.
No, I mean to me it was a great comeback from two deficits. To draw against to me the top Mexican team, one of the top Mexican teams in Liga MX Femenil, 2-2 at Interco. Christina Birkenroad, scoring first for Monterrey, right? So and then Alex Skur, it was Alex Skur's night for sure. I'm so proud to see her, shine and having a massive debut. Has a lot of meaning. And then Julie Doyle, making a huge impact, especially when she came as a second half substitute. So and then I want to say, it kind of what we said here at the pod became a reality. This is a tournament that it's our first experience playing a tournament like this against competition like Liga MX Femenil, and first international kind of guests that we've had at Interco Stadium. And I think with our B team, I think we shined. I think there's a lot of positives that I take out of this tournament and out of this result, John. So Ali Limos, you got Laro playing, Kirk, Alex Kerr, like phenomenal. She did exactly what she did in college. So an amazing job. And then Sophia Manor. That's the one thing that I texted you right after I saw the. I was like, "Yo, Sophia Manor is gonna play."
I mean, definitely. That was the Sophia Manor. I was sitting there. I got a little bit late and I sat down and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, what's the lineup? I didn't check. And I looked over and went, wait a minute, is that Sophia Manor in goal over there? Is that my eyes deceive me right now? But not only her, Evelina Duljan, like you said, with the first start, great to see her. Ali Limos, getting more minutes we predicted. Lara Kitt's really getting some time on the field. Corey Dyke, what is another surprise, kind of start here. But a great mix of like more experienced like squad players and some first starts and some young talent as well. Celia I think had another good game. But let's get into the highlights, Luis, and kind of go through as this one ran down goal by goal.
There you go. You got Sophia Manor right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a set piece chance, and I was expecting more of like maybe trying to find somebody that was a little bit more open because the way the Rayadas was sitting tactically, I mean, look, our pride players are taller and seem as a little bit faster. And Lara went for the shot, so I don't know what do you think about that, John?
I'm not super
You're so
impressed what I've
nice,
seen
man.
from Lara this season. It's
You're so nice, man.
No, it's true. Like I know there's talent there. We know because we've seen it with Lara, but I feel like she's a half step too slow all the time. I don't know if that's just age or if that's just not being, sharp. But I'm not been impressed by Lara so far, I gotta say.
Receiving the ball with their back to goal only leaves them with the option to go backwards.
Launched up.
Yeah, that right there. Number one, you got to give kudos to that cross.
With the option to go backwards.
Well, I said on last week's pod, Luis, that you got to watch out for these long balls, and like they love hitting these long strike, and that applies to these balls into the box too. They have good players are good at hitting a long pass or a long cross in. So this is a great ball in to find ex Pride player Christina.
Yeah, and then it kind of skips Carrie Lawrence's head, and it kind of Kylie Strom kind of loses the mark on Birkenroad because she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to get Carrie's quasi header shit that there," and Birkenroad just, I mean, you just don't miss that, and she didn't. And when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, Rayadas is actually going to."
I was a little surprised because we were all over them up until this point. Like we were having a lot of chances, and they were just hitting us with these counterattacks or like set pieces. So we were possessing the ball and creating chances, though. So I mean, I think it shows that they're a little bit better than I was expecting. I think I don't want to say we underestimated them, but I think the level is higher than I thought it was going to be, and I think also with our not full strength 11 out there. I think if we did have the likes of Banda and Marta and whatever, I think we win this game
And she gets
comfortably.
from the
But right now with with a little bit more of a rotation, it was more of an even match.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the way she hit it was perfect. Um, but indeed, I think it was a great goal by Rayadas. Like kudos for the Black Swans right there. Always.
It was a little bit different vibe. I feel like it this than a regular end of a cell game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt like there was some Summer Cup vibes going on.
that's right.
The attendance was very disappointing, but
Yeah,
that's that was kind of to be
we'll
expected with
discuss that. I mean, we'll
a summer
discuss that
tournament.
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know Matt Crone had something to say about that.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that.
We will will speak with the goal scorer. Christina Perkinroad will join us
There
from
you
the
go.
field.
I love that hat. Where can I get that hat? That Pry hat. Man, I love it.
Oh, that one? Yeah, I made that one years ago.
Oh, man, that's a cool
No
hat.
lie, they still have that one in the shop. I remember that.
Really?
Yeah, I remember doing a photo shoot with Ashton Harris and
Oh,
Ali Krieger. They modeled it when it came out.
that's a cool hat right there.
Join us
Yeah.
from the field.
I bought you guys are gonna laugh. I'm talking. I bought a Pry hat. The Pry hat that I have, they didn't have none on stock. This was like a year ago, a year or two ago, and they had I know Ali Riley just left, and it was that line of hats that had the flag of that player.
Yeah, they
I
did
did-
like a club and country
Club and Country.
series. Yeah.
I had the one for Ali Riley. Yeah, I need a new hat.
On the defender, and then buried it in the bottom corner. It was a great. I mean, what a great first goal to score that is.
It was a phenomenal shot. And just the way it happened, and what he meant, her first professional goal. The team was 1 goal down. Monterrey was kind of gaining momentum a little bit.
Right after it looks like 50 minutes, like
Right,
right after
it was-
halftime, we
yeah,
came out. And,
Yeah, it's at the 50th minute.
you
We came
know.
out a little sloppy.
Mhm.
I'll say, kind of Rayadas was trying to get the momentum, and then that completely shut down Rayadas for a little bit. And she definitely made an immediate impact, and that's the type of striker that we, look, we got. I know if Banda something may happen, knock on wood. Now we can definitely say that we have a great striker right there, and we have Julie. And we have also Ali Watt, and we have
Yeah.
now Alex Kerr.
I feel like though Banda is like a true 9, you know what I mean? And then I feel
Right.
like Julie can play there definitely, but like I prefer her more on the wing, and same with Ali Watt, right? So and like if Laro's not having the greatest season, I definitely would look to Alex to be someone that you could bring off the bench to replace Banda in that number 9 position, and then use Julie and Ali on the wings as subs or whatever. I think if she's going to show that kind of talent there, if she can do that in league play with more minutes, repeat that kind of display, then I think we definitely want to see her get some more time as we get back into later in the season.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's keep playing the footage. Yeah, there was nothing to say about that. I mean, Carrie.
I think the ball just like came out and just little like she didn't have that much space, but she had enough space to take a shot, and it was a hell of a shot.
Yeah,
And it's gonna happen. Like I think that was like we said, they've got quality from distance, and they were doing that in the first game, and they're gonna do it again against that's part of their style is to take lots of
hopefully
distant shots.
Hopefully we see that against
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right. I guess hopefully we see that against North Carolina,
Yeah, North Carolina better be ready.
Hit him with a couple of those.
Let's read a few comments real quick, Luis. Jennifer says, I agree. She is a good player, but pace is very important in the end of herself, and she lags a bit sometimes. I think that was talking about Larroquette. Yeah, she's a little bit off the pace. And LM Orlando says, attendance was super sad.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll talk about that.
Yes, indeed.
I do want to give kudos to my people from Instagram. Badis Kazar, thank you so much. Gator Bear Tiger Zilla, thank you. Jocelyn Fortin 2. The MLS Vault says Vamos Orlando, and then they followed us, and then they joined the stream. So thank you for watching the MLS Vault. Thank you so much. And then we'll continue watching these highlights right here. So now here we got Carrie, we got Julie, and we have Summer, right? And it kind of, like you said, John, I felt like I mean, not to say, I mean, it was great to see the B team getting some minutes for sure because it's going to help us nonetheless. And even Seb Hines said it after the game. The 4-3-3 formation. How every single player was positioned strategically across the pitch, especially in the first half. And it was a B team. And again, there's nothing you can do with that phenomenal banger. And then Kerr having a great moment. And I just kind of felt like once the subs were made, they try to say, hey, we're not losing this game. And so that's when you started seeing, Julie Doyle and Carrie Bello and Summer kind of taking like a leadership kind of the team, and kind of pushing it forward a little bit. And they persisted and equalized. I don't know. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, when you bring on Julie and Summer, like I said, the level stepped up. And I think that was Seb's sort of reaction was like, I want to start the players that haven't had a chance at all, because this is the game to start them in a cup game in the summer against your probably weakest opponent that we might face all year. And so this made sense to play those players. But when the game wasn't going our way, he said, I'm going to put on my better assets that I have still here available that aren't in the Olympics. And that's the likes of Julie Doyle, Summer, etc. And that class that they brought to the game just really stepped it up. And I think it stepped up things around us as well. I think the whole game in the last kind of like 20 minutes was a better level than what we saw in the first half.
Yeah. Let's keep watching the highlights here. I know there's another comment. It says, make sure the PK people are in for the end of game. LOL. It says LM Orlando. Thank you. Appreciate that. I know we'll talk that in just a second. that was great.
Manor and Ada both have the same hairstyle. Have you noticed this? So I was like,
Manor and who?
Sophia Manor and Anna Morehouse, from
Oh,
far away, they look
yeah.
like the same goalkeeper. Like, so some of
Yeah,
my friends are like, "Oh, Anna's back." I was like, "No, that's
No, that's not.
Sophia Manor, not yeah." So
No, that's another great competition. The goalkeeping corps and the Pride.
yeah, I mean,
freaking stacked. Like, I mean, all
Matt
three of
Crone's got something to say about that, I'm sure.
Macron to me, I'm a little biased, To me, just number one, at that point, and
Well, Haley told us, Luis, and we should always believe what Haley tells us because it's turned out to be true. And she said when she was on the pod that we're going to have some real competition in goalkeeper, and we're seeing that now with our reserve goalkeepers have shown that they're just as good as our first goalkeeper at the moment.
I agree. They don't put the replay on the second goal.
Oh, don't even get me started on the highlights.
Look.
It's so bad. They don't put the celebrations. They don't really put the replays. They do a little bit. I think they have a time limit. So if too much happens in the game, you don't get like half the. But if not enough happens, they give you like lengthy, like multiple angles on the highlight and the replay and stuff. But either way, the NWSL highlights are not great, I gotta say.
Look, she sees the cross of Celia, and I want to say, is it back heel or is it the inside of her foot?
I think it's the inside.
I think it's the inside of it.
Yeah,
she was
like taps it home.
Taps it with the inside of her foot. That's right.
Yeah.
And then
Ali Lemos, by the way, on the set pieces, Ali Lemos put in some killer crosses and corners.
Here we got the penalties.
Yes.
No, the penalty.
By the way, Luis, right? This is the first penalty shootout that we have seen since the playoff. Right? No, I don't even remember the last time I saw a Pride penalty shootout. Drop it in the chat, or Luis, if you remember, but
no, I don't.
I can't. I think we'd have to be in a situation where we're in a game where we had to have the penalty shootout. Rachel says, "Here we go." I love that.
Yeah. So
look out for all the people running to the wall.
Yeah. So the running to the wall. Yeah, that's right. It happened also again an Orlando Pride game. So it was great to see because I was like, yo, there's like more people here. It's like, and they're all running into the wall, which is great. I will have to give kudos to the lady on the orange shirt that you guys will see there. She was flailing her arms like an octopus. It was amazing. And then a dude took his shirt off. I don't know if he'll be in the video.
Shout out to if you're any of the people watching or listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love the energy and the vibes.
We're the real. You're the real.
Yeah. You didn't. Yeah, I was not running to the. I was tempted, and then by the time I thought about it, I was like, well, they're about to start penalties. I will miss some if I run now. So I hesitated, and missed my opportunity.
All right, let's watch.
Doyle scores.
There you go. Because it was the last penalty. It was what? Her first penalty shootout with the Pride, John, right?
Yep.
And she's just so composed and just shoots the penalty perfectly.
Can end this.
I mean, it had to be her, right?
Yeah. Like
after that game, she had to be the one to net it.
Completely fooled the keeper. She didn't have to do that stupid like Neymar chimichanga thing he does when he shoots the penalties that tries to fool you. She just kept it short and sweet. And then what I love the most was that her teammates just came and support her. It tells you like, man, that's to me that's the best part. You know, I remember back in the day would all be everybody going separate ways, kind of like to the locker room. Now we're all together. Now it's great. Best player of the match for the Pride, says Rodolfo. To me, who do you say, John?
Probably Alex Kerr.
Yeah, me too.
I think Alex Kerr, based on the fact she played the whole game, got that great goal, got the penalty. I think there were other players that played well, but she shone the most.
LM Orlando, Corey's expression after the PK is everything. There you go. Rodolfo says Rayada's keeper jumped before ball was shot for most penalties. That's right.
Yeah, they were not watching that.
Of all sad words, I was shouting so much crap at the Rayada's players for their wonky run-ups. LOL. Courage to score.
Stumble.
Courage to score against Rayada. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So
yes, we will talk about our chances in a little bit. But first, Luis, should we move on to previewing Louisville? Friday night game. Friday night under the lights. Exciting stuff. Racing Louisville, a team that I feel like we just seem to tie against this season. So, we played them, twice already this tournament. I don't think they're depleted as we are. Definitely not as, they're ninth in the table. They're just very mid, wouldn't you say? I think Racing Louisville are quite mid this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they're. They have a lot of their first team squad. But it's still going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tough game.
And that's where they might have the advantages that they have more of their first teams, star players than us, obviously, right now.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%, and right now, they're looking good in Group E. We just got to do our part, we just got to win, The whole purpose to me of this tournament, even though North Carolina just scored on Monterrey, is for our bench to get minutes and to be ready for the whatever it's next on the NWSL, tournament and win the cup. So, and I think we've accomplished that. And I think for being our first international sort of experience, especially playing with a team that, has a lot of subs, I think it's phenomenal results so far. I mean, call me overly positive. Yeah, there's things that we need to get better on. But, most of our number one, most of our starters are in Olympic duty. Right, John?
Yeah, I can't get anything right today, man. I'm so confused. This whole week has got me thrown upside down. The game is tomorrow. Yes, not Friday. Everything is confused. It's Thursday night. Tomorrow night game against Racing Louisville. They are out Miley Clegg and Uchenna Kanu. So they're only down 2 players. So, they're going to be full strength. But they haven't really been, they drew against the last match against North Carolina. North Carolina won on penalties. So, they beat Monterrey 3-1. So there's that. Sorry, Rachel, I have to scare you. My whole agenda this week is thrown off, Luis. I can't Pride game on a Thursday and a City game on a Sunday, and then all the podcasts got moved around. So I'm all confused and
Yeah.
discombobulated.
And I'm sick, so I'm not thinking.
Yeah, and I was sick, so it's been one of those weeks, guys. So bear with us if we get things a little bit off. But hey, that's okay. That's why you're here, to correct me when I'm wrong. North Carolina, probably going to beat Monterrey. Let's be real. I would be surprised if Monterrey manages to get a result there.
That's right.
Which leads us kind of on, Luis, to talking about, our chances in this tournament. Obviously, Racing Louisville. Do we want to do a lineup actually before we move on to that?
Sure, we could do a lineup.
We'll do a quick
quick
lineup for you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult to predict with all these rotations, but I imagine based on the importance of us winning this game, we're gonna see a few more of the key sort of rotation starters. Summer Yates, for example, Carriabello from the beginning of the game, not necessarily off the bench. Would you agree with that, Luis?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're gonna see the best lineup Sepka possible in there. And I think that's what he's gonna do. It's my opinion. I don't know if he's gonna go for Mac or for Sophia Manor.
That is a hard choice. Yeah, but
I want to go for Mac. But again,
drop your comments on who you think is going to be in this starting lineup. We want to hear from you guys. But yeah, I think Mac. Sophia had a decent game, but I think Mac showed more in her game. So I would go Mac for this one.
Yeah,
I think Mac might have a bit better communication with the back line as well. A bit more. I feel like she was a little bit more in sync.
Yeah,
with the defense.
Yeah, for sure. I think Mac for now. I think
not that Sophia had a bad game. I just think she impressed more.
Yeah, Sophia had a good game. It's just that she's been gone for a while, so we also you don't want to you want to ease her into it. Plus, Mac's been I think more in practice. So I don't know. I just feel like Mac will be a good keeper for this game, and then your back line is going to be, we're going to see Carrie Lawrence and Kylie Strom.
Yeah, I think so.
Kylie Strom, Carrie Lawrence.
With Carriabello at left back.
Yeah. And then Carriabello right here.
I'm going to read a few comments on the goalkeeper here, Luis. We've got J.A. Texas says, you guys think he'll give a chance to Kenna Coldwell? Maybe. It's hard to say. When they bring in these players as like a temporary filler player, I don't know if they're going to give them chances over a game that you could give like another one to Mac or another one to Sophia. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know that there's like maybe you go like Mac was like that last season, so you can go from being a temporary player to but I think until you become a full-fledged player, I don't know if we're gonna see the likes of minutes for Kenna or for I forget the name of our other center mid that we signed on a temporary basis. But maybe they're just here to fill. Maybe they'll see the field, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, John.
Sorry. Also, Rodolfo Chang says Mac is back. LM Orlando says Mac or Morehouse, maybe Coldwell since you're playing rotation goalkeepers. Yes. We talked about that. Rodolfo also says any news about Brianna
Well,
Martinez? Is
I
she
haven't.
out for this season?
No, she's not out for the season. So I talked to somebody within the club, and she's not out for the season. They thought the injury was going to be way more severe than because it looked like she couldn't, step foot, right?
Yeah.
But she's probably going to miss. She missed this last game. Yeah, and she may be questionable in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But she's gonna be back by the NWSL season. So it's not a season-ending injury. It's not like she needs to get surgery.
I think that's a good aim for her too. It's like
Right.
you've got enough. Just concentrate on being back for the regular season.
She's gonna be back in the regular season, which is in a way, I mean, that's what we're in a way contending for.
Yeah,
because we're the best team in the NWSL, guys. Don't forget. And I think that's Seb's pretty much telling her, hey, take a little back seat, just heal fully because I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you for the season when it comes up. So, but it's not serious. It's not serious. She thought it was gonna be worse. It's not serious. It's not a serious injury, guys.
Just a couple of weeks, says Rachel, and all of Sadworth says if we have Brie back for the Houston game, 8/23, I'll be thrilled. So yeah, that's like 3 weeks away. I think it can happen.
There's a possibility that she'll be back by then for sure.
Carrying on with the lineup, Luis, right back. Speaking of Brie Martinez, right back. Who do you think we're gonna put in there? Celia again, I think most likely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's been amazing. A leader. She's been vocal. She's had assists. I mean, and if we're putting and like you said, we're putting our best in. I feel just like you, John. I think he's gonna put a good strong lineup against Racing Louisville.
Yeah, I think that for me is definitely Haley in the D mid. With Haley, I think there's a debate over. I would arguably say Ali Limos over Morgan at the moment. I think Morgan has got a lot of quality, but suffers with injuries and just doesn't look quite as as sharp as she did earlier in the season.
No,
I would go for Ali, who I think is growing with every match, and this is another opportunity to play her for at least 60 minutes. Summer in the center attacking mid role. Probably if we're going full strength, Julie and Ali on the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe Laro up top, but I would prefer to go for Alex Kerr, actually.
I think Alex Kerr is going to start.
I don't know if Seb's going to do that, but
if I'm Seb, I'll do. And look, if you want to be completely honest, like here we could have Celia take a back seat here and put Evelina. She did phenomenal.
Evelina, she's had some time. I don't know how convincing she is at right back, but she's been playing center mid.
Or
I see her more as a winger,
or you make Celia take a play 45.
Yeah,
and then you put Evelina with fresh legs, which I think that'll be a great opportunity to really.
I think it's going to be more like the North Carolina lineup that we saw. Unless we're on the same page. But something like this is what we're predicting.
So you're looking at Macrona top, Celia, Carrie Lawrence, Kylie Strom, and Carrie Bello. You got your double pivot, Haley McCutcheon, Ellie Limos. You have Summer Yates at the 10. Julie Doyle as your left wing, Allie Watt as your right wing, and then right up top you got Alex Skur making her debut in the starting lineup for the Pride. Which it's good to give the striker confidence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I mean, you give a striker confidence, and if they start delivering goals, they did the same thing with. I mean, I know I hate to compare, but they did the same thing with Jackhammer, Jackie Lynn, man, with Jackie Chan.
The Jacqueline.
Jack
Alrighty. I think we should move on, Luis. Let's get on to the Olympic Pride players and what's been going on in everything around the Olympics, because a lot of our players have been playing each other, Luis, in the same group, as I'm sure you and everybody knows. Banda, the Brazilians, even Emily Sams was on the bench today for the U.S. women's national team. Let's start with Zambia. It's a little sad, I gotta say, Luis. Barbara Banda, obviously, it's not easy for her in a team that has such great attack with her and Kudenaji, and just being let down by the defense and being let down by a little. I see a lot online of people blaming the coaching and the head coach specifically. I know there's been issues with him, but we won't get into all of that. But from a coaching perspective, definitely could have done better on the defense to concede as many goals as they've had. They've conceded 13 goals. Barbara Banda has scored, 4 in 3 games. She's been the star and the shining light, and she was really sad, Luis. You could tell after they lost 6-5 to Australia in a game that I don't know how we got a player who scores a hat trick and you still lose. I just really feel for her and all the Zambian Pride fans. It's never easy for them in a group that has like Australia, Germany, and USA in it, of course. But I was hoping they'd at least get a win or a draw in somewhere. So to lose all 3 and just to concede as many goals as they did, I think is a pretty disappointing Olympics for Banda and co. Some bright sparks for her that she scored goals, but obviously she wants to win games.
I mean, Zambia Kuchalo first and foremost. Second of all, I mean their back line is like a flan, it's like a tres leches, it's like an ice cream about to be melting, and then their attacking third is super solid, and so yes, I think people claiming that the coach doesn't even care, that he's just there. I feel like they could do better, but there are national teams that want to only hire someone from that home nation. They're not. You give this Zambian team to any other coach, like to Zeb Hines, let's say, for example. Don't you think he's gonna make him play better? I believe so too. There's a lot of future for this Zambian team. There's a lot of untapped talent in Zambia, and it takes for someone to truly immerse themselves in their world to truly change that around. I mean, they really don't look that far off, in my opinion. I think that their attack, I mean, you have to understand there's going to be a lot of players in this Olympic team are going to be going and playing in top level teams. Like, I know for a fact, I'm sure there's going to be people trying to offer stuff for Barbara Banda next season. They're going to be offering,
I'm sure Haley's phone doesn't stop ringing offers for Barbara Banda.
7 to 8, 9 million, 10 million. Same with Kundajandi, the same thing. And you need to, in a way, I kind of feel for Zambia because I remember, and I hate drawing parallels, but I remember when Peru was horrible, and we had our attacking third was Claudio Pizarro playing at Bayern Munich as a starting number 9 with Roy Mackay. This was like late in the 2000s. You had Paulo Guerrero playing in Hamburg. You had one of our left backs was in Fiorentina. So these are all top level teams, and then they still didn't make the World Cup. Because their defense were players that were just really not bred or didn't have the I guess the minutes in playing against really tough opponents. And so when you go to a competition like the Olympics, like a World Cup, you have to be kind of like what Barbara Banda does when she's down a goal, try to fight and try to get that equalizer, you know what I mean? But you didn't see that for a lot of these players, and it's not because of them. I feel it's because the coach is not motivating them enough. It's not doing the proper things tactically, defensively. I think they're a mess, and that also has to do a lot with the coach and how much he wants to spend training these players.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think disappointment for Banda and not what we want to see, but also she had some great moments, and Orlando Pride was read out a lot across the world.
I
Everyone
know.
talking about Barbara
Yeah.
Banda, and she plays for Orlando City, and et cetera. I'm sorry, Orlando City, Orlando Pride, et
It's great
cetera.
for the league. Great for the league.
Yeah. Let's move on to talking about a little bit more sadness and disappointment. Brazil are still through. They do manage to go through, but they're, first of all, they managed to throw it away against Japan in a game that I just have no words for. They conceded in the 92nd minute and the 96th minute to lose to Japan 2-1 when they were leading all of the game 1-0. I mean, to do that, and then in the game today, Marta, puts her leg up high to get a ball, and it's a risky leg that goes up there and clips a player, and then that results in a red card, and that's 2 games that she's out for, the next game, obviously, and if they go through as well. So disappointment, I think, for Brazil in some ways that they're out Marta, but happy that they're still going through. But I don't see it all. You know what I mean? I think there's so much talent in this Brazilian team, and I was hoping that with Marta and how well she's been playing for Orlando right now, we would be able to see her playing like that with her Brazilian teammates. And we haven't really seen that at all. Angelina saw some time on the field and had some bright patches, but like Adriana hasn't really done much. Rafaeli has played okay, but like I said, conceding goals last minute to Japan and stuff. So it hasn't been the best Olympics for Brazil. And I think most Brazilians would probably agree with that.
Yeah, look, it's
But they're still in it. So there's that,
Yeah, look, so to me has a lot to do with the level of the sport in that country as well. I mean, Brazil, it is a top country in South America, and this goes also in their men's now. There's a disparity between how the locals play, how the local league plays, to what Marta is doing in the NWSL. So you see possibly a big level of play with Rafa and Angelina and maybe even Marta, especially Marta not only playing for Brazil, but also playing for herself in the matter of ending her career on a note that it's like, there's no one above her, And the issue that I have is that the Brazilian league doesn't get enough competition like the NWSL. They're a great league. They're probably the number 1 league in women's soccer in the region. First is Brazil. Second, I will say right now is Colombia. But one of the similarities that these two leagues have is they only play a few games a year.
And it's like only Corinthians, right? That are really that have a good system, and
Yeah, so
you know, what I mean, it's a
Corinthians,
lot of Corinthians players in the national team, and the rest are all abroad.
correct. So Corinthians and Palmeiras, and I'll say they are the top two teams there right now in women's soccer. But then the rest of the teams, it's not. They don't have the infrastructure, and again, they are leagues that only play certain number of years. So you put somebody with the leadership of Marta, and Angelina and Rafa there, and Adriana. They're playing top level quality players every game. So but they can only do so much, and I feel bad for Marta because I know that maybe she did not have the intent of truly hurting a player, but the rules. Like I think if your leg is up and it looks like you're gonna do the big boot by the Undertaker, like, and then you got the player obviously reacting. Maybe didn't hit her, maybe just grazed her, maybe touch her hair, but she's rolling on the floor crying. That's a red coming to you. So it's sad, and I felt also for these Spanish players because they felt I mean, that's how big Marta is. Like, Marta was crying because she's like, this is how people are gonna remember me, and I kind of felt for that. But also the Spanish players were like distraught. You see their faces. Like, typically you'll see when someone gets a red, like players clapping and going like this. No, I mean, like, you see, because these girls grew watching Marta play. Like, it's like you playing against Ronaldo or Messi, and then that may happen to them on their last game ever in an Olympic.
I mean, that's the
It's
real,
crazy.
if this is her last game ever for Brazil, like it's just such a sucky way to end your, and not that it's all her fault or anything. And just you wanted to cap it off with maybe a good performance. They go out, or maybe a medal, like they got a bronze or something. That would have been nice. But
This is
for that to be, and you could kind of tell by the way she was crying that it seemed pretty clear that that was it. So
yeah,
yeah, Texas says I felt bad for Marta today. What are you gonna say, Luis?
no, and it's, I feel like it's also, I mean, and again, I'm gonna say it. There are teams in countries that they only want to get coaches from that same country, and that could have two repercussions. Because you give Emily, you give whoever, any other coach coaching in England, coaching in the US, the Brazil job, they're gonna triple excel in getting the best out of these players. But the problem is, no, they want a Brazilian, and that could hinder, because what Jay Texas says is completely fine. Yeah, Marta in Japan against Japan, yeah, she was the one talking to the players about how to stay in formation, and that has to come from the coach. I totally agree with her. I'm glad that she put that in. So maybe it's an opportunity for Marta to go for coaching.
I think as soon as she wants to retire, we offer her assistant coaching job immediately for Orlando Pride. I still
No,
let
I
her
agree
go
completely.
anywhere.
I
Don't let
agree
her go
completely.
anywhere. Get her immediately in. But yeah, and then maybe build her way up to eventually one day being the manager of Brazil. I think that would be really poetic and make total sense. But it doesn't always work that way. There's a lot of players that maybe should be a commentator. I could see that too. I think Marta would be a great commentator. Who knows what she'll do after she's retired, but this was a sad, way to potentially have her last game.
Yeah.
A few more comments on this. Rachel, their coach doesn't even seem to care. I think that was that about Brazil? Probably as
Zambia.
well. Same as Zambia. It could be either. Jay Texas, she's made history with the hat tricks. Oh, this is about Zambia. Elam Orlando, the soft dessert reference for the defense.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like a knife through butter for the Zambia defense there. JA Texas, they took Marta off against Japan, and the whole team went
Yeah.
downhill. Yeah, I think she's pretty integral to what they're doing, but maybe we'll see more time for Angelina. Every cloud has a silver lining, and maybe now Angelina's going to get more minutes because she can do that role. They need creative midfielders in the center of the park, man. There's just not much being generated
No.
for Brazil at the moment. So what are you going to say, Bob?
No, sorry. Just to close that thought real quick and just go to the next topic. It's also a little bit of an ego with Brazilians sometimes, and I know because they are, and at some point, the kings of soccer. Jogo Bonito and all that stuff. Sometimes they, they're like, okay, yeah, you may be killing it in the Pride, but you play in America, like American soccer. But you know what I mean. But it's different, right? I mean, but some Brazilians, like I've talked to even colleagues from like Colombia that cover the women's national team. They feel, oh no, I'd rather go play Europe than in America. I was like, bro, the American level of the NWSL, it's in a different beast. It's like you to play the NWSL, you're not talking like the man, dude. Like the man is completely different. The MLS completely different beast. But when you're talking about women's sports, the NWSL is the toughest league to play on, and you don't understand how tough it is tactically for the coaches. And so when you explain that to them, then they're like, "Oh, okay." But then there's a level of that too. So I'm sad to hear that Angelina's not a starter. She should be a starter.
I think she's definitely going to get more chances now. Moving on, Luis. Let's talk about USA.
That's right.
Again, another win today, getting the 2-1 victory over Australia. Rodman with a goal off like a corner. I believe it was a corner, and then Corbin Albert with a strike in the second half. And then they got one back from Alana Kennedy, old Pride player. Was kind of happy to see her out there still hustling. Tell you what, Alana Kennedy, she can hustle, and she hustled her way to getting one back for them and almost a second one. But overall, US 3 games, 3 goals. This is what we want to see, right, Luis? I mean, I think it's the Emma Hayes era. There were some questions over whether she could do it, and I personally think she's silenced a lot of the doubters already. And I think this team is just showing a little bit of what their potential is under Emma. And the front three is only going to get better, and the team's only going to get better. And I'm excited about how far USA can go in this tournament, man. I think there's only one team that really scares me.
No, I completely agree with you. Playing against Australia is no joke, especially in this type of tournaments.
4-1 against Germany, that's no joke.
Yeah. So you're talking about a front three it's really scary. Mallory Swanson, Trinity Rodman, and Sophia Smith.
We need a nickname for them, by the way. I've heard the Trident that's been thrown around. The trifecta. Anyone who comes up with a cool nickname for the front three of the U.S. national
team, call it Doomsday. I don't know.
Put it in the comments. We'll get it started.
And then you have a lot of players that have already been in the national team, kind of stepping up to a leadership role, like Lindsay Horn, Crystal Dunn. It's a good mix. Honestly, Coach Emma Hayes has my full respect. I think she was the best choice for being the coach of the U.S. women's national team. She brings fresh ideas. She's won big in Europe with Chelsea, and you're starting to see those things. Corbin Albert, Lynn Williams, also Emily Sams. and I was hopeful that she was gonna, get some minutes, John.
Yeah, man. There's just me sitting every game, sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting with my tweet, just ready to go. Like, come on, bring Emily Sams on. Do it. What are we waiting for? There's an interesting comment here from Jay Texas who says, "Do you think there should have been more rotation?" Yes, I do think that. I will say that, considering we were already through, Sam Coffey got a yellow card in like the 3rd minute, and now is out for the next game. I think it was a risk putting her in. Like, obviously, as a D mid, it's difficult not to pick up yellow cards, and as a young player, you can make mistakes. So I don't blame Emma entirely, but it was a choice, and now we're out Coffee for the next game. But I think Emily Sonnet could play there. And then if that happens, then that opens up a center back spot, Luis. So as like everything that's happened so far with the Olympics is like Emily got called into the training squad. Okay, now she's an alternate. Okay, now she's in the 18. It's like step by step by step, all roads lead to Emily Sams getting some minutes in this Olympics. I hope. And maybe this one, maybe they'll put Emily Sonnet there. They could bring in Corbin Albert from the start, so maybe that will happen. In which case, is more likely maybe because Emily, as good as we know she is, she has not seen any minutes with a U.S. shirt on in any kind of setting whatsoever. So I think it would be a little bit of like baptism of fire. Not that I don't think Emily can handle it. I think she can. She's cool like that, but it would be, throwing her in the deep end a little bit to have her first game in this big a game for the U.S.
All of Sad Word says, please don't inspire rotation at a Emma Hayes. Love, a Chelsea woman fan. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, she likes to keep the same players where she can, but that's risky in this tournament because there's so many games so close together.
No, I agree with all Sad Words because I was gonna say that actually. I don't expect Emma Hayes to make a lot of changes in this game. But I think the change you made about rewarding the goal scorer, what's her name? I forgot her name again.
Corbin Albert,
yeah, Corbin.
Controversial Corbin Albert. There's a lot of animosity towards her, rightfully.
So just because of that, I feel like it may be her getting some minutes, and then I know Emily's gonna have her chance. Emily's gonna have her chance, and
I think off the bench, I can see it's more likely that when we need, like at the end of this game, it really would have been a good idea, I think, to bring her on. Maybe go to like a 5-back, or put her in the D mid, put her right back, whatever. But Germa and Sonnet played most of the game. Like they brought off Fox and Dunn, but we didn't bring on any replacement fullbacks or center. So it could have been her. I really thought it was going to be an option to bring, like they bring on Nightswanger and Kruger, who have definitely got more minutes than her, but I argue that Emily Sams could do the job they can do, if not better. So we'll see. But I'm just delighted to see her name up there, man, and the fact that she's involved and everything. If the end of this Olympics comes and she doesn't get on the field, I'll be sad, but also I'll be proud that she's part of it, and I'll be excited for the future with her with USA.
Yeah, I think she's part of the system now. She's in the system, as they say already.
She's on the radar.
Yeah, she's already shared moments with this squad right here, and that is important because now knowing Emma Hayes, sorry. And there's a lot of coaches like that. They would rather go and call players that they know, and they know that number one, they're coachable, that they like the way they play, that they're tactically inclined to obey their orders, and I think Emily Sams is a very good tactical player. Like, you've seen it. She's played right back. She's played 6. She's played the center back. She's done it all. She's done the winger. Remember that goal she scored of being a winger?
Well, she was like fullback, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you know what I mean? She's like a converted wing. It was she's done it all. And that is because she's the perfect again, she's the type of player that coaches love to coach, because she's so coachable. She's yes, ma'am. Let's get it done. Let's win.
Emma
So
has sung her praises, so I think she knows that, and I think if anything, that's the like plus in her camp is yes. If I do throw her in, I feel like Emma's the way she talked about her, like she feels like she could probably handle it, but I think it's more likely that Kruger and Nightswonger get in and they move some pieces around before Emily gets in, just because they have more minutes with the national
I
team.
do want to say like that's a crazy nick last names Kruger, Night Swanger. That sounds like something that'd come out of Goosebumps. I don't know if you read Goosebumps when you were a
Yeah.
kid.
Oh yeah.
Man, it's crazy. But anyways, phenomenal. Team USA doing great. They're going to be playing Japan, right, John?
Yeah. So we're gonna go into the final
bracket.
stages. Yeah, into the bracket.
You have the bracket up.
Let me do. I do actually have it right here. Hold on. Here we go. The brackets.
With Japan, I feel we need to score early, and I feel like we need to the front 3 need to score, maybe be 2-0 up. They're really crafty and fast players and love how to shoot from distance. So to me, I feel putting a double pivot, like 2 6s in the second half, and it's not to park the bus, but to hold the game, so it doesn't happen what happened against Brazil.
Yeah.
I think we need to do that. I think we need to take the precautions Brazil didn't do, and we have the team to do it. They just gotta be concentrated, and whatever chances they get, because they're gonna get plenty, execute them and score.
Yeah. I think if we look at the table here, obviously once we get past Japan in the knockout, it probably gonna be Germany. I don't know. It could be Canada, but they'd be
I'm ready to
caught in
face.
cheating again.
Because
Germany,
well,
we just beat them 4-1. So if we get past Japan, then it's Germany. Hypothetically, we beat them. On the other side, Brazil, France, Spain, Colombia. I can only see Spain getting through regardless. I think they're just so good and so much quality there. So I think all roads end at a Spain final, which is, if you remember, way back in the very first press conference, well, her last press conference actually she had for Chelsea, Emma Hayes says, "I'm going to go off and figure out how to beat Spain." She's been preparing for this final, I think, for a while, and knows what she's doing. So I expect on August 10th to see that game and the U.S. to
drones
have a silver or a gold regardless. But I really want the gold.
We just come by, I know that being in France, Portugal is right there. You gotta go to the market there, get like 30 drones.
Yeah,
frame.
We'll get on the drones because obviously everybody's doing that.
We can frame Spain and Canada and France. No, I'm just kidding. No, how
this is how it starts, Luis. This is how it starts.
Isn't this crazy what he said? This dude said about like, oh, everybody's
got a drone fleet. Everybody's got a drone fleet ready to search and fly over your practice. Luis. So you know this? This is modern soccer.
Are you
modern
smoking?
Football right here.
What are you smoking, man? Like, come on.
You got caught, eh? But anyway, I think that's everything we have on the show today. We talked. One last thing. We didn't really, Luis, discuss the scenarios, but we should a little bit before we go. Of what can happen from tomorrow night's game.
Oh.
It's a case of not everybody knows exactly, so we'll just quickly explain. As you can see here, North Carolina, believe are still winning. They were when I last checked.
Yeah.
1-0 against Monterrey. So they are up here on the live table with 7 points. We are in third with 3 points. The issue here, Luis, several things. One, there are 5 groups, as you can see. The knockout round is only a semifinal and a final, and that is 4 teams, my friend. So that means you can still come top of your group and not go through. So if we look at some of these other groups here where teams have already got 6 points and they've got a game to play, they're likely going to end up like North Carolina here on 7 points. So statistically, I think we are out. Like if North Carolina Courage get the win, like they
we're
are
out.
right now, we aren't going to win our group and we're out anyway. And then, even if we were to win our group, which we can't, you're not guaranteed to go through if you win your group. So it's the teams with like 9 points, maybe the teams with 7 points that are going to go through. 6 points doesn't guarantee you going through, even if you win your group. So I think really just pride for the pride to play for, right?
So
oh yeah, North Carolina winning 2-0
yes,
right
it's
now.
over.
So
It's over right now.
yeah.
No,
we
no.
actually can't win the group. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying, John, that the reason why there's that rule is because the teams are uneven? They're an uneven number of teams?
Yeah, they have 5 groups and 4 teams go through.
So you
I don't know why they didn't just make 4 groups, or I'm trying to think of a tournament in which this happens where you can
Wouldn't
win
it
your
be
group
better
and
if
not
you
go through.
if you make the number of teams larger? I mean, I think 2 can go through of each group, right?
I think it's they've done it where they only wanted a semifinal and a final.
Yeah.
And so to get
that's
down
not
to
good.
4 teams from a group stage is, where's the round? Like, you don't have to do a round of 16, but like, look at the world, like, look at the Olympics, right? We're going down to 8. So to go straight to 4,
Yeah.
like what happens in, other tournaments where you have a mismatch is you'll do like, okay, highest place, right? That's how like Brazil got through. Highest place. So, all sad where it says they need to fit the tournament in the time frame. I mean, yeah, it's partly that, but then also the final is in like October. So what is the time frame? Like that's wild.
I think
interesting choices made here by the Summer Cup, I gotta say.
I mean, another thing that you could make it very, I know that they want to make it like kind of like the Leagues Cup, but it would be cool if they invite like 2 or 3 teams from South America. And then just kind of like say, of each group to go through, or make another group. We're
gonna have Champions League next year, so
yeah. So
I'm excited about that. But yeah, I think it's wild. Like Jerry Texas says, who thought of these rules? And then all sad words saying like they're winning 2-0. We already read that.
So based on that, John, that changes our lineup.
Your group. Well, yeah, does it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know if it does. I still think you want to, come out second.
Yeah, of course.
Show the good display.
Yeah,
There's the 2 draws, really, man. Like a draw and loss on penalties. That's after that first game. I was like, 1 point from game 1. That's a rough starting point.
We're still undefeated in all competitions.
We got the 2 points from game 2. But if you won one of those games, you'd be on the same amount of points that we got out of 2. So the results for us in this tournament not going our way, but also we knew it was going to be a little bit different look for us. It's going to be, players getting minutes that haven't seen the field as much. And like you said, Luis, all eyes on the big prize that is NWSL and lifting some kind of shield or trophy in the regular season this year. Pride or Die says Summer Cup upside is we got to see players get quality minutes.
That's right.
Bring on Champions Cup next year. Totally agree.
No, we're still
love
undefeated.
seeing all these game changers, Luis, right? We've
Yeah.
talked about them all episodes. So Rachel says, yeah, technically we are still
Yeah,
undefeated.
and I think we need to protect that. Yeah, so let's
Yep.
go out with our best and let's get that second spot, and
For sure.
maybe someone gets sick and they allow us to go through. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
The whole team goes down.
Yeah. A drone. Oh,
Drone.
golly.
We want to thank you all for your support today. You can obviously support us by following us on our YouTube page. It is Loud and Proud Orlando on YouTube. We also have you can follow us on X at LPO_podcast, or you can follow us on Instagram in the same place. Podcasts available on Spotify or Apple if you just want to listen. But come and join us here live on YouTube or X. You can drop in your comments like lots of people have today. Thank you to everybody who has dropped comments and being with us. Sorry we had to move it from a Tuesday to a Wednesday, but things are crazy right now. And we got a lot going on. Another thing I want to mention, Louise, we are moving to a new Facebook page and group.
That's right.
So if you have been in the past, I don't know if a lot of the Pride people are, but we have been running an Orlando City page called the Orlando City Informed Discussion Group for a while on Facebook. And that is one that we, for many reasons I won't go into here, we no longer can keep up with it. Like we can't admin it anymore. So it's like a rudderless ship. We got to let it go. So we made a new page. Come join us at Orlando Soccer Fans. I know there's some people who obviously are here that are in the NWSL group on Facebook. This is another great group. We'd love you to come and join. This one talks about everything Orlando soccer based. So not just Pride, but City, OCB, anything that's happening. Luis was posting in here about everything that happened with Man City and Barca this week in town. So come join us there. Join in the combo. I gave away some tickets for the Pride Racing Louisville game there earlier today. So that's the kind of stuff we got going on. It's a great place for you to interact, chat, talk with each other like you do all over social media. And this is another place we want to host you guys to do that with us. Luis, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, just keep supporting us. We're available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're listening, thank you so much for your support. We're available on X at LPO_podcast, on Instagram as well, on Loud and Proud Orlando. We just posted, if you guys are interested, we just posted our footage from Pep Guardiola and Hansi Flick from FC Barcelona and Manchester City right there on YouTube. And this week, tomorrow we have the City Pod, and then Saturday we have a whole weekend of soccer. Saturday we are invading Tampa. LPO is setting a purple flag right in Rowdy Stadium. And we're covering the Premier League that's coming to Florida. Everyone wants to play in Florida. Crystal Palace against West Ham United, forever blowing bubbles, #. And Sunday, Orlando City plays Atlético San Luis from Mexico for the Leagues Cup. So it's a lot of soccer coming.
It's a busy
And I'm trying
week.
to get better. So I'm drinking a lot of vitamin C, Advil, cholinsinus. So,
well, I wish you a speedy recovery. Pride or Die says join late, but again, keep up the good work, guys. Thank you to you. Thank you to everybody who is here and joins us and drops your comments. Luis, I hope you get better.
yeah,
and I hope we get a win tomorrow night. And I hope the
will.
women get a win for USA at 9 a.m.
There
on
you go.
Saturday
Oof.
morning. We're watching that one. We'll have
Definitely.
my breakfast. So only one thing
Your-
left to do.
Your British
Okay.
breakfast, John? Is it
No.
beans
There'll
with-
be coffee and like waffles, bro. It's gotta be
Oh.
American breakfast. We're not
I miss British breakfast, man.
We're not gonna tempt fate by having like beans on toast on the day that
Oh,
USA
man,
got the
so
win.
good.
Come on.
All
come on.
right.
Anyway, one last thing we do here on Pride Pod, and let's say Vamos Pride.
Vamos Pride. Take care, guys.